Guys, now we're going to talk about Lavia. We've been linked with him loosely. Is he a player that could fit Ange's system? Possibly. Now, he's 19 years old, which means he's got a lot of room, a lot of ceiling to be coached and developed. He's Belgium. He played for Southampton last season, who got relegated, and he scored 1 goal. Now, as a defensive midfielder, this is the key stats that we're looking at. Passing. When it comes to his passing, he has 86% passing accuracy, with 89% passing in his own half, 84% passing in the opposition's half, 66% long ball accuracy, and when it comes to dribbling, 68% dribbles completed. So with that being said, his strengths seem to be his ability to intercept the ball, so he's really good at reading the game and getting into those passing lanes and blocking of passes. That means he has good intelligence, good football IQ, which is really good, which he hasn't need to be coached on. In terms of being press resistant, he is very press resistant, so progressing the ball he'll be really good at, turning defense into attack. That's what we need for a 6. That's going to help Big Ange's system when we're pressing high, winning balls back, or he's progressing out from the goal kick. Also, what is impressive about him is his dribbling ability, so he's going to be able to beat players, but with that he has speed and athleticism, something that we miss in our midfield to kind of break from one position into another. Someone that's got real raw agility on the ball and off the ball. So he's got that in bags of abundance. I would say also, not just his long balls and his passing is a strength, but the fact that he's able to have good team link-up play. He'll be able to find passes, not just short and link play, but he'll be able to distribute balls, switch to play, find our fullbacks, find our forward line. If it's compacting with midfield, he'd be able to just switch the play really well. So in terms of being a midfielder, in that aspect, he's really good. What he needs to improve on, I think, is even though his tackling metrics are really, really high, his tackle attempts are good, but he just needs to time his tackles a little bit better, in my opinion. Sometimes he goes to ground too easily, but again, these are things that can be coached out from early. He's still 19 years old, so he has he's got that room to improve, where Ange could get his hands on him and he can improve him on that level. I think that kind of box-to-box element is key for him. In terms of shooting, again, he needs to improve on his shooting. He's not really good at shooting, so that's the reason why I think he's been deployed further back. Crossing as well, I think, is a weakness. He needs to work on that crossing, especially like in the modern day era. I always talk about half space. Barry gets onto me for it, but in the modern day era, that's where you see like your Zinchenko's, or you see your Trent Alexander-Arnold hitting those diagonal balls in that kind of area, and that's very useful. It's very hard to defend against as well. So I think that's something he needs to work on as well. But as a potential midfielder to replace Hojbjerg, definitely. He could be a squad player, but I could also think he's got that level of ceiling and that much ability that he could be a Champions League footballer. He really could. And if his potential is met, we could have a real player in our hands. Transfer market value, he's going to be, I reckon, between 30 to 35 million. Just because of his age. I think that's the reason why, even though Southampton are relegated, they're going to try and push for that type of fee. I think James Ward-Prowse will be way more expensive, but he'll be a cheaper option. But knowing Spurs, I think we'll try to haggle down to maybe like 30 mil. In comparison to the French player from Lyon, Cracret, I think similar price range, but I think Lyon would probably push out for a bit harder because he's a Champions League player already. He's been playing for over 5 years, experience, so he's got a lot more experience than Lavia. So I think he will be going towards more the higher end, to 35 to 45 million. I know Leon like to squeeze us for prices, so it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. Also, just to mention, I don't think tenacity-wise, he hasn't got the same kind of tenacity in the air, so I think he needs to work on his heading ability. He needs to work on that a bit more to be a really top defensive midfielder. But he is combative. He is quite. He is a person that likes to win the ball back. In his metrics, it says in the defensive third and mid third, but that's because Southampton play so far back. But I think he needs a partner, if I'm being honest, to kind of coach him. So maybe those two players playing alongside each other would work well, because he needs a player that can help clean up as well. He's not like your monster six, if that's what you want. But in terms of like keeping all the parts moving, keeping the ball moving, like if you wanted to turn defense into attack, playmaking from deep, he's got that in abundance. That's his bag. That's the type of midfielder that you'll have, like a Paul Pogba type of player, if that makes sense. So I think he could really fit into Spurs and add a different dynamic, different dimension into our squad. And that's just from the eye test. That's just from when I've watched him at Southampton. I thought, yeah, there's a real player in this guy. And he'll either end up at Arsenal, Liverpool or Man U, if not now, then later. But obviously Southampton got relegated and now here we are. So I think this is a player we could definitely go in for.